Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian. We recently headed down to Norfolk, Virginia to cover NATO Allied Command Transformation's annual Chiefs of Transformation Conference, a gathering of innovators from across the alliance. We spoke with Mark Russell, a business development executive at Boeing's Insitu, about the company's ViDAR passive camera system and software that allows better ocean surveillance.
Hi, my name is Mark Russell. I am a business development executive for the Insitu company, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Boeing. Many people aren't aware of that. And I cover primarily the European nations, that's Euro-NATO, as well as some of our other partners in the European space. And I also now am covering the African continent. And as you know, the Mediterranean is very important to Northern Africa and to NATO. We were given 5 scenarios by the Supreme Allied Commander, General Mercier, this morning to cover. And the technology that you see behind me fits directly in over top of those 5 technologies. And 2 things I'd like to mention in particular that are new innovations for our company. One of those is called ViDAR, which means visual detection and ranging. What that is a passive camera system we carry on board that looks at the sea out in front of it in about a 20-kilometer swath, and it removes the sea using an algorithm, removes the sea from the picture and what objects are left. And when you use that capability on such a small aircraft as you see behind me, the Scan Eagle, it's a game-changing technology, especially for those nations whose very precious assets are along the coast. And you can imagine that's most of NATO. The other part of that is, what do you do with the information once you have it? It's wonderful to have these technologies that collect information, optical, infrared, various technology, various capabilities. What do you do with that information once you have it? 2 years ago, Insitu bought over a company called 2D3 Sensing, which is a Hollywood-awarded software company that does FMV, full motion video analytics. And you take the motion video out of our system and you can dehaze it, you can clean it up, you can analyze it and provide a very actionable decision-making material on the spot, real time. Not days later, not hours later, on the spot for the commander. As you can imagine, this is a very enabling capability for such a small system with all those technologies wrapped up in it for all of the NATO nations, and especially, as we've learned at this scenario, some of the smaller countries that are now included in the NATO family and the partners. And we've gotten very positive feedback from those countries, as you can imagine. Our conference basically was confirming our strategy. We've invested a lot of time and energy into our strategy, and what I'm hearing here today and what I've heard over the last, let's say, 5 or 6 hours here at the conference, is that our strategy is harmonizing very well with the directive that we received from NATO today. Many of our business development executives have NATO time. We're familiar with the allies. I've flown in NATO myself, 20 different countries in NATO, so we're very familiar with the NATO needs. Harmonizing with NATO is very, very important. A big piece that our company has invested in is working with the airworthiness certifications in the respective nations. A very, very difficult thing. It's one thing to fly in a war zone. It's another thing to be able to use that capability within the confines or very close to the coastlines of national airspace. And we work very closely and diligently with those countries. As you know, with this technology, it's similar to iPhones. It's like every year, every 2 years, we're refreshing the technology, always modernizing it. The biggest things that people are asking for are resilience to GPS, or what are the upgrades to our cameras, and every 2 years or so we get a refresh on the technology where we're getting better and better zoom capability, better definition around the cameras themselves, being able to forward data to places that NATO and the partner nations might need it. It's one thing to gather the information, it's another thing, what do you do with it? And how do you move those electrons around and those images around to get it in the hands of the decision makers? And that's where we excel.